From the Samson Production Studios in the heart of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, it's your News 13.
Brought to you by SSPTV and the Standard Speaker.
Well, if your kids aren't there already, they will be back in class in the next couple of days. So what's new in the school around the region? Our back to school special, the top story on News 13 for this Labor Day. Good evening, everybody. Happy Labor Day, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kathy Bazinski. Well, Hazleton area school district students are just days away from their first day back. Christina Papa caught up with Hazleton superintendent to find out what the community can expect for this year from the district.
It's a big week here at the Hazleton Area School District, and I'm here with Dr. Antonelli to talk about what's new, what's happening this year. School starts Thursday for all the kids. Talk about what are they going to see when they come in.
Correct. Many exciting new initiatives. First and foremost, Christine, of course, is the opening of the Hazleton Area Academy of Sciences, our STEM high school. We're very, very excited about the opportunities for our students interested in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics-related careers. It's an exciting building, technology-rich, many partnerships with higher education, business, and industry to provide our students with unique learning opportunities.
And that's for there's for the high school students, correct? Right.
That's correct. 9 through 12 will be starting in September with freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, and the following year we'll have our full complement freshmen through senior students. We also have begun work on our new Maple Manor Elementary Middle School, the former Bishop Hafey building, and again that's going to be a state-of-the-art elementary middle school slated to open in September of 2014, and we're very excited about that building and the possibilities for educational opportunities for our students.
You also have some new things going into all of the buildings, correct? Some safer, I guess the kids are going to go in, they're going to see something new there.
Correct. It is paramount that we provide a safe and orderly environment for students and staff. Without a safe and orderly environment, learning cannot and will not take place. We will be implementing metal detectors and armed security officers, Act 120 police trained officers in all of our elementary and middle schools starting on Thursday to complement the metal detectors and the SROs that we have on this high school campus. We also are very excited about rewriting our curriculum. Dr. Butler has been leading that initiative at the high school level to rewrite curriculum along with an outstanding committee of teachers to align our curriculum with the Pennsylvania core standards. And we also hope to begin work on realigning our elementary and middle school curriculum in the same regard, alignment with Pennsylvania core standards.
Well, best of luck with this school year. Again, school starts here at the Hazleton Area School District Thursday, and I'm Christina Papa with Dr. Antonelli in the administration building here at Hazleton Area for News 13.
Hello, I'm Chief Frank DeAndre of the Hazleton Police Department with information about the new school traffic patterns at the Hazleton Elementary Middle School. Newly installed metal detectors at the school will change the way students enter the building. Instead of using the east and west entrances, all students will enter through the 9th Street entrance. This change has prompted a change in the traffic patterns around the school to keep the students safe. The Hazleton Area School District and the Hazleton Police Department have developed an emergency traffic pattern plan that will make travel around the castle much easier and allow for the total safety of our children. Starting with the first day of school, between 7:30 and 9 each morning, traffic will be restricted from traveling west on 9th Street between Carson and Manhattan Court. No one will be able to drive in front of the school in the lane closest to the school itself. Drivers will be able to travel east on the opposite side of the street. There will be no change to Garibaldi Court, which is the alley between Carson and Wyoming Street. 11th Street, the street behind the school, will still be one-way west, and there will be 15-minute student drop-off and pickup only on the south side from 2 p.m. until 4 p.m. to allow for parents to stand and pick up their children. The biggest change you will notice is that Manhattan Court will now be two-way. This will allow a quick, much easier way around the school for anyone to travel. Just as in the past, parking will not be allowed on Manhattan Court. These traffic patterns are already in place to get the community used to them before the start of the school year. It is important for everyone to be aware that these changes will have been made for the safety of the students. Because of this, the signs posted shall be strictly enforced. No parking means no parking. If you are stopped sitting in your car on a street that says no parking, you shall be issued a parking ticket. Double parking or parking with disregard to the signs, even for a few minutes, is illegal and will cause a hazardous condition. It's also important to make sure no vehicle ever crosses the lane of travel and stops facing east in the westbound lanes of 9th Street. For the first several weeks of school, an officer from HPD will be on patrol and issue parking tickets to anyone who disobeys the signs. The Hazleton Parking Authority has also agreed to assist and have members in the area to issue tickets. Parents, if you have a child that attends the castle, we highly recommend you go there a day or two before school with your child and find a location that will be your special predetermined pick-up and drop-off point. Then you can instruct your child when they get out of school each day to meet you in the designated spot and have them practice this before the first day of school. Please help me keep all of our children safe and pay close attention when you're traveling in and around the castle, as well as anywhere in our community now that school is back in session. Remember, drivers need to be careful because children are carefree.
There have also been some security upgrades in the Pottsville area school district. Matthew Petrillo has more on the district, which has decided to bring armed security into its schools.
There are more than 300 million guns in the United States, or roughly one for every American. And in the face of the country's recent massacres, the Pottsville area school district decided to implement new safety measures.
The board and our superintendent were interested in adding an additional layer of security.
When classes begin next week, students at all Pottsville schools will be greeted by off-duty police. The officers will be armed and stationed at all school entrances.
A security measure less invasive than metal detectors or things of that nature.
But not less expensive. The school district will be paying part-time officers $15 an hour, money that some students say could be better spent on their education.
I would feel a little safer, but at the same time I would feel the same because nothing really happens here.
But Principal Reedy says never say never.
It could potentially happen anywhere. That's why we are addressing it proactively in hopes that we wouldn't have a catastrophic situation.
Now, other than the officers, the school has a whole bunch of other security measures. This building is always locked, and you can't get in without first identifying yourself through these speakers. And once you're inside the school, you're going to want to come here to the main office. That's where they'll take down your name, who you're visiting, and why. And they're even going to take your picture and keep it in your records. So you better smile. The district also has dozens of security cameras that can see where the security officers can't. But it's unclear how long the district will be able to pay for the officers. The district superintendent couldn't be reached for comment today. And critics say the only way to prevent future massacres is to pass tighter gun control laws. But no major gun legislation has passed Congress since 1994. And there appears to be little political will at the federal and state level to change that. Matthew Petrillo, News 13, Pottsville.
And still ahead on News 13, we'll head back to school at some Catholic schools in the area. We'll visit one Schuylkill County school where enrollment is up for the first time in a decade when News 13 continues. There are some big changes going on at Marian High School in Tamaqua. The Catholic school has more freshman students this year than in any year over the past 10. And as Matthew Petrillo tells us, it's the biggest increase since the Catholic Church has tried to deal with a series of sex scandals.
Catholic schools across the country have been on a steady decline for years. Church leaders blame a faltering economy, fewer church members, and changing demographics. Critics blame the sex scandals, which have recently plagued the Catholic Church.
We certainly are not perfect. We don't claim to be.
Sister Kathleen Ann Tate is Marian Catholic's principal. She says this year's freshman class is the largest in almost 15 years. possibly because of a new shift in attitudes towards the church.
I think it's the reputation that the school has. We send approximately 98% of our graduates on to a four-year college. Many of them win scholarships.
10 years ago, the freshman class comprised of just 68 students. Today, enrollment has soared to 115 students.
First time in many years, well over 10 years, that our freshman class actually has over 100 students in it, so we're pretty excited what they're going to bring.
Private Catholic schools charge tuition, unlike public and charter schools, and it's not exactly pocket change. Parents shell out about $5,000 a year to send their kids here. The price tag used to allow Catholic schools to market themselves as affordable private schools. But the recent influx of charter schools, which bill themselves as free private schools, has made that comparison a challenge. Still, students at Marian say you can't put a price tag on the Catholic faith they're taught.
And it's great to see 120, 130 kids in the freshman class to keep the tradition going.
I think it says a lot about just the reputation that Marian has been getting the past couple of years, and you know how a lot of kids want to come here.
My favorite part about going to school is seeing everyone again. It feels like a big family. I love being here. It feels like home to me.
School officials hope the freshman class also sees school as a second home. To welcome the new class, they held an orientation for them Monday. The school held a pep rally, a cookout, and even had a DJ. Now this special day of fun was just for the freshman class. The rest of the school returns Tuesday, and by that time the DJ will be long gone. But a continuing enrollment will keep this school around a while longer. Matthew Petrillo, News 13, Tamaqua.
And students are already back in class at a parochial school in Hazleton. Students at Holy Family Academy have been back to school for nearly a week now. There were plenty of photo ops by parents on the first day as they dropped their beautifully dressed youngsters off on Laurel Street. School closures within the regional diocese meant that a number of students who had attended other Catholic schools were coming to the academy for the first time. And while staff says there were a few student tears as well as some anxious parents, it was still a pretty good first day back.
We're really excited about this school year. They all look crisp and shiny, and they're all ready to go, and they really listened very, very well on the first day of school, so we're looking forward to a great year.
And there are some new changes at the Academy this year, including an indoor welcome area where parents can drop off and pick up youngsters. News 13 will be right back.
SSPTV Sports on News 13.
Welcome to this special edition of News 13 Sports. Good afternoon, I'm Mike Madge. I hope everyone's enjoying their Labor Day. Well, today in this special edition, we will break down the 7 local football teams who opened their respective seasons over the weekend. Now, these 7 teams, some of which are in the same division, are all fighting for one thing, a championship season. For some, this may be realistic. For others, they may be looking to rebuild. Now, what we can say so far about these 7-5 teams that finished is most of them had a winning season, so rebuilding may not be for most of them. To start things out, we'll break down the upcoming season team by team, and we'll start by heading to Schuylkill County, where 4 out of the 7 teams we cover play out of the Anthracite League. Schuylkill Haven, the first team we will get into. To start things off, the Hurricanes, coached by Mike Farr, are coming off a 2012-2013 season in which they might have been overpowered by some of their teams in this division. They managed to finish the season with a 7-5 record by going impressive 4-1 at home. They opened up the season with a 2 straight losses, 37-0 defeat at the hands of Wyoming and a 22-0 loss against Marian Catholic. So right off the bat, you can get a feel that they need to start off the season a little more consistent, and maybe they can get on the right track. The Hurricanes finished last season in 5th place. Moving on to the next team on our list, we got the North Schuylkill Raiders. The Raiders finished the season with an impressive 9-2 record, going 6-2 at home. And there's little doubt that anything less than a championship season will be disappointing for this squad. Keys to the season look to be staying consistent heading into the October month. This team lost 3 out of the 4 games in the middle of their season. They look to build on a 3rd place finish from last year. A team that glimmered last year was the Marian Catholic Colts, who finished with an impressive 8-3 season, going 7-2 in the district. A key component to their season is their defense. Last year, the defense managed to complement the offense in a nice way, contributing 2 shutout wins on D. Realistically, the Colts would like to see some more offense this season after finishing 2nd in the Anthracite League. From second to first, that's what Tamaqua managed to do, is pick up the top spot in the Anthracite League last season, and they'll look to repeat this year. Looking back at last season, which was a stellar campaign put together by Coach Sam Bonner, they will be locked on trying to repeat from their 10-and-run season from last year. The big reason for the success was their high-powered offense, which was able to blow most opponents away. They'll look to match that season at the very least, and some motivation for them, maybe the fact that Tamaqua was bounced early in the playoffs, losing to Penn Agro in the PIAA Class AA playoffs. From the Anthracite League to the Wyoming Valley Conference, that is where we are headed. Two local teams, the Crestwood Comets and the Hazleton Cougars, are both looking to improve their season, and little could be said about what the Cougars may be looking at if their concerns are on a winning season. Let's take a look at what Hazleton Cougars are up against this year, as they are led by Coach Jim Drumheller, who managed to win 1 out of 10 games last season. The Cougars' only win coming by a 28-25 scalding of the Williamsport Millionaires. Drumheller also saw the Cougars fall victim to the Comets in a 33-13 loss. So what needs to improve for the Cougars? Well, pretty much every aspect, including winning at home. Considering they were unsuccessful in 5 attempts, Coach Drumheller did mention he does like what he sees from the leaders this season, and that's a key ingredient when you look at rebuilding. Another team needing to get it done at home is the Comets of Crestwood, led by Coach Myers. This team finished with a 2-4 record at their stadium. Not as bad as the Cougars, but still the Comets are a little bit ahead of the Cougars when you talk about growth. And when you talk about growth with this Comets team, you look at quarterback Jay Pops, and he was only a junior. He will grow in terms of leadership and talent, and if this does happen, expect the Comets to finish better than what they did last year at 7-4. The Comets did struggle, losing 3 of 4 down the stretch, but impressively they managed to go 5-0 on the road. This may be a team to look out for this season. And our last team we look at is the Crimson Tide of Pottsville. This team, for starters, just replaced head coach Kevin Keening with Tom McGoy, and McGoy has his hands full. Last season, the Crimson Tide finished 2-8. They lost 8 straight, and their point differential was over 100. This will be a rebuilding team this year, and they obviously start that process at the coaching position. Well, that's all we got for these 7 teams around the area. Good luck to all. It will be an exciting season, no question about that.
Tonight's sports is brought to you by Mountain Speedway. Here's a look at this weekend's action. It's going to be busy. The racing will begin at 6, so plenty of action this Saturday. Just $10 for grandstand admission. Kids under 10 are free, and if you're active military or a senior, you get a $2 discount. There's the website and the phone numbers. You could call them and get all the information on the excitement of racing down at Mountain Speedway.
Well, there are some changes this year that affect every school in Pennsylvania. The federal No Child Left Behind Act set down strict guidelines and timetables for student progress in local districts. But as Christina Papa tells us, some new developments have softened those mandates.
Every child has a right to a great education. The No Child Left Behind Act, which was mandated under George W. Bush, set out to do just that.
And it's an accountability system for public schools. The benchmarks were predicated on the reading, language arts, and the mathematics test.
But the law also said that students had to have 100% proficiency in those tests by 2014, and schools had to meet increased goals every year. But educators and experts argued that the goals weren't practical and that students who didn't do well on standardized tests could show progress in other ways.
Our learning disabled students, special education students, our limited and non-English speaking students were held to the same exact benchmark for success that our straight A students and gifted students are being held to. And that's tremendously unfair.
So like many states, Pennsylvania applied for a waiver, which would allow schools to channel funding to programs that help students succeed academically and establish new goals that were more realistic.
There'll be more flexibility as far as accountability. We'll be looking at growth measures. A student comes in September, and we'll be looking at how much growth that student attained from September through June, regardless of their educational status, whether they're gifted, whether they're learning disabled, or whether they're limited or non-English speaking. The growth factor will be paramount in judging whether or not we're successful in educating the student.
Tying into that waiver, a new Pennsylvania state law which assesses teachers on how well they promote student achievement. Eventually, that assessment will be applied to principals and other district specialists.
We are looking at evaluating teacher effectiveness by multi-tiered components and not simply by one observation or walk through in a classroom.
The ultimate goal of both the federal and state initiatives is to make sure that all Pennsylvania students can graduate from high school fully prepared to head to college or to enter a career path. Christina Papa, News 13, Hazleton.
Well, if you have toddlers and live in Schuylkill County, you've got some options on where to send them this year. There's a new preschool in town, and Matthew Petrillo went back to school to check it out.
That chair is a good chair.
The Pottsville YMCA opened back in 2009. It's the only Y in Schuylkill County, but it has never had a program for your little ones.
It's just waiting for the opportunity and the space to do it in.
Schuylkill County YMCA Executive Director Wayne Stump says they finally found that space on the second floor of the Y in downtown Pottsville.
While we have a building here in Pottsville, our mission is still to serve the entire county.
He says the preschool at the Y is affordable. For $75 a month, that comes out to less than $10 a day. You can send your child here to learn and play with instructor Courtney Eichman.
This is an independent 2.5-hour program where the kids get all of those things that 2- and 3-year-olds really need: time, space, socialization, introduction to beautiful elements, art, music. So it's a really fantastic program.
Eichman says students who attend preschool are more prepared for kindergarten than students who do not.
Preschool is really a place where kids can become comfortable and confident, which are the best tools you need for school.
The YMCA preschool program is coming to the Y for the first time ever, and it's not just a way to allow some parents to get some free time to themselves. It's also a great way for some children to begin their early education. A study from Rutgers University backs that up. It shows well-designed preschool programs produce long-term improvements in students, like higher test scores, lower rates of grade repetition, higher educational attainment, and reduced delinquency. That's exactly why Laurie Marks sends her child here.
I really just think it's a good way for him to socialize with other kids his age and get to bring out the creativity side that I always don't get to do with him at home.
Classes start soon, so the Y encourages anyone who's interested to enroll today. Oh, you like the book with the snake?
You're welcome.
What sound does a snake make?
This is a sorry. See how it goes in like this?
Matthew Petrillo, News 13, Pottsville.
Way too much cuteness in one room. Plenty more news and information headed your way on News 13. We'll head back to Schuylkill County for some new innovations in education. That story and much more news when the 13 crew comes right back.